Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. For the Black seminar, we will begin our webinar with a recitation of Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين واهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب يسر ولا تعسر رب تمم بالخير اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening our honorable speakers, Professor Dr. Aziz Jaafar and Professor Dr. Jamaliah Said, our distinguished guest, Deputy Rector of Academic Affairs of UiTM Cawangan Terengganu, Associate Professor Dr. Sharifah Fauzia Said Deraman, as well as Dr. Noor Muhammad as the Program Coordinator for Faculty of Accountancy, UiTM Cawangan Terengganu. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, will be emailed to you after that. Okay. So, before we start, I would like to introduce myself. I am Dr. Liza Adnan. I am now a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Accountancy from UiTM Cawangan Terengganu. So, I will be serving as your moderator for this international webinar. Okay. So without further ado, we will start our day with the first presenter. So before that, please allow me to read a little bit on the short biodata of our esteemed first speaker, even though I have a hard time to shorten it actually. So brought to you all over the way from Wales, United Kingdom. Our first speaker is Professor Dr. Aziz Jaafar, a professor of accounting. Professor Dr. Aziz is the head of accounting and finance at the Bangor Business School. I hope that I can say that right, Prof. Okay, University of Bangor, Wales, United Kingdom, where he previously pursued his PhD. Okay, he is also a member of CPA Australia. So besides teaching and supervising the master and PhD students, Prof is also highly active in research work and published in many international recognized journals like Corporate Governance, British Accounting Review, Emerging Markets Review, and so on. Okay, he is also a co-editor-in-chief for Journal of Finance Reporting and Accounting, Associate Editor for Journal of Islamic Accounting and Business Research, and a member of editorial board at Journal of Accounting in Emerging Economies. So besides that, he also acted as external assessor in various agencies, like in the professional promotion in UKM in 2018, for REF benchmarking UK in 2021, as Board of Studies, Faculty of Economics and Business Management Science at UiTM Malaysia, and also for Erasmus University of Kiel. Okay, so if I am to read that, I think that Prof Aziz will have a short time to deliver his speech. Okay, so last but not least, I am just so proud to announce that Prof. AJ, the way we addressed him before, was also my colleague here about 20 years ago. So he was a lecturer here at UiTM Terengganu. So it is so good to have you back, Prof. And then it is such an honor to have you with us again today. So without further ado, I would like to invite our Honorable Professor Dr. Aziz Jaafar to deliver his speech on corporate social responsibility and tax avoidance, organized hypocrisy, or balancing contradictory demands. So Prof, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and salam sejahtera. Good afternoon to everyone in Malaysia. Thank you very much, Dr. Liza and Dr. Noor Azamina, for inviting me to present at this research seminar. I hope you are keeping safe and well in this unusual and challenging period. As Dr. Liza mentioned, UiTM Terengganu is a special place, as this is the place where I started my academic career back in 1992, almost 30 years ago. Um, the title of my presentation today is Corporate Social Responsibility and Tax Avoidance, Organized Hypocrisy and or Balancing Contradictory Demands. Before that, can you see my slide? Yes?
Yes, we can see your slide.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes. So this paper is co-authored with Professor Abdullah Al-Saadi, currently at Qura University in Mecca, Professor Shahid Ibrahim at Durham University, and my colleague here at Bangor University, Professor Doris Merkel Davis. This paper is a preliminary and work in progress, so I welcome any comments and suggestions. So let me start my presentation from this quote from Professor Sika. Corporations should public anxieties by publishing corporate social responsibility, CSR reports, and by making promises of good citizenship, but this action do not always match that their tax practices. So based on this quote, what are one of the common characteristics of these multinational companies? If you look at here, these are CSR and sustainability champions. These companies are champions of CSR engagement. For example, Amazon Cares is a charitable project launched in India, which create opportunities and develop goals in education, health, skills development. Likewise, Google Green here is a sustainable project by Google, which with a main objective to make their product in saving energy and environment. So all these are CSR activities by multinational companies. At the same time, these are the same company that have been highlighted in the media for not paying fair amount of tax for many years. For example, a report by Tax Watch in 2019, 2020, okay, it cited that Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, uh, Microsoft, and all these other companies collectively avoided paying an estimated 1.5 billion pound in tax on their profit generated here in the UK. The same goes, for example, Amazon had a sales of income of 44 billion euro across Europe in 2020 and paid no corporation tax. The same goes with Facebook and Google. If you look at here, Google moved 19.9 billion euro through a Dutch shell company in Bermuda in order to to avoid paying tax. So they only paid tax out of that 19.9 billion profit. A small amount of 3.4 million in taxes in 2017. If you recall last month, the G7 group signed a tax agreement to tackle tax abuses by these multinational companies. They set a a global minimum tax of at least 15%, and any tax profit made by these multinational companies on revenue they generate in the country should be paid in that country. So that brings us to motivation of our papers. So the main focus of our papers is on legitimacy. So legitimacy is arguably the most critical resource for organizational institutional survival. Companies are deemed to be legitimate if their practices, policies, and performance are congruent with prevailing social norms and rules. So our main research question here, how do these organizational maintain legitimacy in an environment characterized by conflicting demands of diverse group of stakeholders and inconsistent social norms and rules? In doing so, we empirically examine whether there are inconsistency between firm CSR engagement and corporate tax policy. In particular, we focus on demands by shareholders, on one hand, for profit maximization or maximization of shareholders' wealth, and this is facilitated by tax avoidance. And on the other hand, non-financial stakeholders, for example, the public societies, and they demand for socially responsible corporate behavior, practices, policies, and these include paying fair share of tax contributions. We draw on the legitimacy theory of the notion of on corporate citizenship and the concept of organized hypocrisy in developing our theoretical argument. So before I discuss the relevant theoretical framework, let me briefly define the main concept in this paper. The first concept is CSR, or corporate social responsibility. This is prevalent and it reflects organizational responsibility, which include economic, legal, moral, charitable, and all these obligations are towards society. And this is more pronounced in recent years as more and more stakeholders demand accountability and transparency from institution or organization. And a recent survey conducted by the United Nations Global Compact Essential Strategy on CEO, they report that 89% of 1,000 plus CEO across the world, they agree that commitment to sustainability is translating into real impact in their society. The second fundamental concept we focus on this paper is tax avoidance. Now, in principle, tax avoidance is a tax planning scheme which is structured by firm in order to reduce their tax burden. On one hand, tax avoidance or tax aggressiveness is perceived by insiders, these are managers, shareholders, as profit maximizing activities. On the other hand, this activity is viewed by outside stakeholders, the public or society, as socially irresponsible act. And tax avoidance is costly to society and widely seen as unethical. So within our paper, we argue that tax payment is considered as a litmus test for CSR engagement, and this is also a strong measure of firms' citizenship behavior. So our main findings indicate that firms with higher CSR engagement are more likely to engage in tax avoidance. What does this finding imply? It suggests that firms do not operate as rational, unified actors, but rather consist of multiple independent operating substructures. And each substructures respond to the demand of specific stakeholders, group, and their particular requirements. We also report that country level of corporate governance and financial system, as well as the level of industry risks, are important in determining the link between CSR engagement and tax avoidance. And I will explain this in much more details when I go in the results sections. And our empirical results are robust using numerous regression models. And what are our incremental contributions? There is a lot of calls in the extant literature, particularly by this paper Hanlon and Eastman 2010, as well as SICA 2013, to critically assess the link between CSR engagement and tax avoidance. Yeah. We use the concept of organized hypocrisy, and in this theoretical framework, we focus on the consistency between socially responsible thought, that is CSR engagement, and action, which is tax avoidance. And our paper also contribute to the argument, the fact that firms may regard CSR engagement is something that can be said but not done, and tax avoidance as something that can be done but not said. And last but not least, our empirical analysis take into consideration institutional factor across different jurisdictions. This study is across 12 countries, including liberal market economies and coordinated market economies. So let's move on to the relevant theoretical framework that we use in developing this paper. So the first theory that we use in this paper is the concept of organized hypocrisy, proposed by Brunson 1993. And this theory entails on how firms resolve conflict between different stakeholders' interests. And in doing so, institution or company produce socially responsible talks, that is CSR engagement, and tax avoidance, which is the action. And organized hypocrisy involves countercoupling. And what do we mean by countercoupling? This is basically talk is compensating for action. In particular, it involves pacifying some stakeholders with less costly activities, that is CSR engagement. If you look at out there, these CSR activities like fundraising, all this donation, they cost nothing. While company focus to more significant resources on action that address the expectation of more significant stakeholders, which are investors, okay? And these investors or shareholders are most interested in their profit or its core operation, and in maximizing their profit or firm value, they avoid paying fair share of tax. So in organized hypocrisy, we look at this concept, talking the talk, which enable firms to gain what we refer to as pragmatic legitimacy. And what it implies, stakeholders evaluating corporate action and behaviors based on whether they serve their interests. There are many papers analyzing CSR and tax avoidance. For example, Lennis and Richardson 2012, as well as Davis 2016, report that firms engaged in CSR pay less tax and more likely to engage in tax lobbying activities. So that leads to our first hypothesis, stated here. Firm may respond to conflicting demands of heterogeneous audiences by engaging in organized hypocrisy, which results in positive association between CSR engagement and tax avoidance. Now, on the other hand, our alternative arguments in linking between CSR engagement and tax avoidance is based on this balancing stakeholders' demands, okay, or conflicting demands of the heterogeneous group. And in doing so, companies pursue both economic, which is profit maximization, and social accountability or social objective. In other words, companies participate in social activities while maintaining their profit or wealth maximization objective. And in doing so, firms use CSR activities as a means in aligning their socially responsible thought, decision, and action. In other words, this is what we refer to as walking the talk, and in doing so, they achieve their moral legitimacy. So in organized hypocrisy, firms achieve pragmatic legitimacy, but here we talk about moral legitimacy, and what we imply with moral legitimacy, it entails shareholders perceiving activities of the firm as moral in terms of being consistent, being congruent with social norms, rules, practices, and beliefs. There's also empirical evidence supporting this notion. For example, again, Lannis and Richardson, Hoy et al. 2013, they found negative association between CSR engagement and tax avoidance, and that leads to our alternative hypothesis stated here. Firms respond to conflicting demands of heterogeneous audiences by balancing the interests of stakeholders group, which result in a negative association between CSR engagement and tax avoidance. So let's take a look at research methodology, the data and research design. Our sample consists of public listed firm domicile across 12 countries for a period between 2006 to 2019. And these countries are listed here from Australia, Belgium, Germany, France, Italy, Japan, Korea, the Netherlands, Spain, Sweden, the UK, and US. Why we choose this company? These are a group of companies that we consider as front runners, champions in CSR. Following prior literature, we exclude financial firms, as well as missing variables and extreme values. And after excluding this observation, our final firm year observation consists of 13,301 firm years. Our CSR data is based on the ESG score provided by Asset4. This is available from Refinitiv Thomson Icon. We use the average score of asset, environmental, and social pillars. And in our robustness test, we use the CSR autonomous score. For tax avoidance, in our main regression, we use the effective tax rate, ETR1, following Richardson, Chen et al. 2010. This is calculated by dividing current tax expense with pre-tax income. And in our additional analysis, we use additional proxies, ETR2, which is based on cash flow from operation in the denominator, ETR ratios. We consider the country's statutory tax rate, and last but not least, the total book tax differences. And our baseline empirical model is shown here. The dependent variable is tax avoidance on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, these are variable of interest, the CSR, and we also include following prior literature firm-specific characteristics, which include firm age, size, dividend payout ratios, foreign operation, aggregate losses, book-to-market ratios, and last but not least, Big Four auditors. So these are some of the firm-specific characteristics identified in the literature that may influence the degree of tax aggressiveness. And in the second regression model, in addition to firm-specific characteristic, we include the institutional factors. This is a cross-country analysis, so we include these country-level factors. Okay? The first country-level factors is disclosure index, implying higher score correspond to better disclosure. This is a source from Laporta et al. 2006. The second country-level factors is book tax conformity following Atwood 2012, worldwide tax system, ownership concentration at country level, the adoption of international financial reporting standards, and last but not least, the country's statutory tax rate. So let's take a look at the descriptive statistic. If you look at this table, the first column is observation across different countries. Okay? And then we have ETR1, the country's statutory tax rate, and these are the country level factors that I've just mentioned in my previous slide. And if you look at these descriptive statistic firms domiciled in the US, they account for the highest firm year observation, okay, consisting 38.46% of the study sample, followed by Japan and the UK. And moving to the third and fourth column here, this is the difference between effective tax rate and the country's statutory tax rate. And we can see that there is a significant difference in the average ETR1 and CSTR across countries. And in general, we can see that lower CSTR across most countries except for firms domiciled in Germany, Italy, Japan, and South Korea. And this could result from other country-specific taxes that impose a burden on the overall corporate tax income. And on the CSR score, here, firms domiciled in France have the highest average of CSR, 0.636, in comparison to CSR average for other countries in sample. So then we have other firms, country institutional variable, the disclosure index, book stack conformity, worldwide tax system, and ownership concentrations. So let's take a look at our baseline regression. If you look at on this table, The first row here indicates the coefficient of CSR. It is negative and highly significant. What does it mean? Okay, it suggests that our empirical results imply firms with higher CSR score enjoy lower tax burdens, implying higher tax avoidance. If I were to relate this to the theoretical framework, what it means, okay, these results imply that firms engage in organized hypocrisy, which involve appeasing stakeholders with CSR engagement while focusing on meeting shareholders' demand and expectation for profit via lowering tax payment. And this also implies a gap between socially responsible talks, decision, action, and providing support to our theoretical framework on organized hypocrisy. So that's the main story of our baseline regression, which is the higher the CSR engagement, the lower the tax burden, which imply higher level of tax avoidance. We then embark on additional analysis. So here, we separate the countries into two categories: the liberalized market economies and coordinated market economies. Okay. So if you look at the results here, even though the coefficient of CSR is negative and significant, the interaction between CSR and coordinated market economies here is positive. What it shows here, okay, company domicile in liberal market economies, okay, pay lower amount of tax, which imply higher degree of tax avoidance. Now, what is CME and what is LME? In this study, countries domicile in the UK as well as in the US and few other countries are categorized as liberal market economies. This type of economies are pretty much shareholders oriented, okay? Whereas companies listed in Germany, in Belgium, they are considered, in Japan, for example, they are considered as coordinated market economies where there is a strong inclination toward other stakeholders. And our second additional analysis or robustness test focuses on environmentally sensitive industries, okay, or ESI. Okay. And following prior literature, okay, we separate firms into two sectors, okay, firms operating in environmentally sensitive industries. These include petroleum, oil and gas, mineral, utilities, and this type of firm, as argued in the literature, are highly polluted firms. Okay? They emit a lot of CO2, and this has adverse impact on the environment. So we divide our sample into two subcategories, okay? ESI and non-ESI firms. Okay? So what our results indicate, as you look at this interaction between CSR and environmental sensitive industry. Okay. It is positive and significant. What it implies, firms operating in environmentally sensitive industries, okay, are likely to avoid tax. Okay? And this is again consistent with our organized hypocrisy theory. I'm not going to discuss other robustness or additional analysis. I'm not going to provide you with more empirical results, but we conduct a battery of robustness tests, which include using alternative CSR proxies, as well as individual CSR pillars. Okay? We also use alternative tax avoidance measures. As you recall, our sample are highly influenced by firms listed in the US. So we conduct a separate regression for only US firm and excluding US firm. And last but not least, because there is a causality issue or endogeneity issue, okay, we mitigate this concern using the instrumental variable regression. So from conducting these robustness tests, okay, if you read the papers, okay, all these additional analysis or robustness tests confirm our baseline story, which indicate higher CSR engagement lead to lower tax burden or higher tax avoidance. So to conclude my presentation today, this is one of few CSR paper that we are working on. Okay. In this paper, we empirically explore how companies maintain legitimacy. I talk about the two dimensions of legitimacy, the moral legitimacy and pragmatic legitimacy, in an environment characterized by conflicting demands of heterogeneous group of stakeholders. So if you look at out there, there are many stakeholders. We have primary stakeholders, which are investors and or shareholders, and we also have other stakeholders. These are creditors, the public, okay, NGOs, and so on. And these different stakeholders has different demands and different social norms and rules. So our empirical analysis show that firms use CSR activities or CSR engagement to strategically mitigate the opportunity tax planning activities. So they engage in all these charitable activities, these fundraising activities, which cost them peanuts, okay, which cost them nothing, in order to placate, in order to appease all these secondary stakeholders. But at the same time, they engage in tax planning activities or tax planning scheme, which cost them, okay, substantially more, and these increase the amount of profit. And this is to serve their primary stakeholders, which are investors or shareholders. So our empirical results support this notion of organized hypocrisy. And what do we mean by organized hypocrisy? Firm produce socially responsible talk, that is CSR activities, which is inconsistent with their action. So the talk and action are not consistent. Yeah? And firms do not engage in CSR activities to discharge their socially responsible act to society, but only to placate non-financial stakeholders. So our last argument, okay, we suggest that company talk the talk without walking the talk. So that is empirical result for my robustness test. If there are any question, I'm happy to go to this individual table, but I'm not going to discuss it now because I'm conscious of time. So thank you very much. And that's my presentation. Thank you. I will stop presenting now.
Thank you so much, Prof. AJ. Can I still refer to you as Prof. AJ?
Yes, of course. You can call me AJ without
AJ.
the prof.
People still refer to you as
Yes.
AJ now?
Yes, yes, of course.
Ah, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for Prof. AJ. So, Prof. AJ has given a very interesting talk. Or we can say that the topic is rather controversial actually. It's doing something that you, whether you want to officially do what is compulsory for you or paying tax, or do you choose to do something that is not compulsory but something that will make you look good in the eyes of the people, right, Prof? So it is something a very interesting topic. So I'm sure that you have a lot of questions that might arise. So please type them in the chat box, okay, or the live chat. So we will address to the questions later on during the question and answer session. Okay, so we will now proceed with our second speaker, Professor Dr. Jamaliah Said, okay, from Accounting Research Institute, Universiti Teknologi Mara, Shah Alam. Okay, so allow me to read a brief biodata of Professor Dr. Jamaliah. So it's gonna be brief, Prof, because or else we are not going to have time to listen to your speech. Okay, so Prof. Jamaliah is currently the Director of Accounting Research Institute, or ARI in short, in UiTM Shah Alam, and she was conferred a PhD from Universiti of Teknologi Mara, Malaysia, did her Master in Accounting from Curtin University of Technology in Australia, and her Bachelor in George Moore University, Liverpool. Okay, she is the Managing Editor of two esteemed journals, which are Malaysian Accounting Review and also Asia Pacific Management Accounting. And then she also holds the position as a Region Chair 2021 for Asia Pacific Management Accounting Association, and has been appointed as visiting professor at Institute of Public Enterprise, Hyderabad, India. So recently, Prof. Jamaliah has been appointed as visiting professor at the Sambram Academy of Management Studies in Bangalore, India. Okay, so not forgetting, she has also published more than 150 journal articles. So that makes me feel so small today. Okay, so without much ado, let's welcome Prof. Jamaliah with her speech on potential accounting research in the digital age, which I believe is very relevant to most of us today. So if you are looking for topics or areas to do in research, so this is a good opportunity that you will get some of the ideas from Professor Jamaliah's talk today. Okay, so Prof. Jamaliah, the floor is yours. Prof tak buka mic. Prof, can you please switch on your mic? Okay, Prof.
Okay, sorry, I forgot to switch on. Wait.
Okay, now we
First
can
of
hear
all,
you now.
can I check whether you can see my slide?
Yeah, not yet. The slide not. Yes. Okay, already. Yeah, it's there.
Is that okay? Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a
Wa
very good afternoon to Madam. Thank you
Waalaikumsalam
very much,
warahmatullahi
Madam
taala wabarakatuh.
Moderator. Okay, wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrahli sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. First of all, I would like to congratulate and also thanks the organizer for organizing the international webinar, Moving Forward, Accounting Research in CSR and Digital Age. I'm sure you all have been working very hard to make sure this seminar is a successful seminar. So again, thank you everyone for allowing me to share my little knowledge on potential accounting research in the digital age, okay? So my title is a bit, I would say, is a bit santai. Yeah, it's a bit flexible. There is no technical thing, so it's not like what are the possible or research opportunity you can explore in relation to information technology, artificial intelligence, and also accounting. And I'm sure most of us are from accounting background. Before that, we have to aware that the usage of digital technology nowadays is increasing. What more with the existence or the existence of COVID or the attack of COVID pandemic. So this digital technology become more and more important than ever before. Okay, digital technology actually enhances the capability and the computing world to next level. It enhances the prediction and risk and how to react, right? So when I look at Malaysia, okay, this is what happened in Malaysia context, okay. If you look at the first industrial revolution, second, third, fourth, and industrial revolution, so I convert this into the Malaysian economic development. If you look at Malaysia prior to 1950, for example, it was like very much of agriculture based, right? Then after that, we developed a bit, move on to industrial base, which was like happening in 1970 to 1990s, right? Then after that, we consider ourselves as knowledge-based countries. That was happening in 2010, 2020. But of course, after that, now we are into digital economy. So your topic of researchable topic in digital age is indeed very timely. So again, before I move on into the topic, I really, once you assign me this topic, so I start looking into data about digital population in Malaysia, and I was like, I found a very good data, and I feel like, wow, this is something interesting, okay? For your information, this data was actually collected in 2018. I mean, they published in 2018. That was before the pandemic. I truly believe during the pandemic recently, this number definitely, there is a lot of change in this data or this report. For example, the report says that 20.9 millions of total number of population in Malaysia have smartphone. Imagine, you know that our total population is 30 million, right?
Prof?
With 30 million,
Prof?
yes.
I'm sorry,
yes.
I have to disturb you, but your slide is not moving. We are still on the first page.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See, wait. I have to move it. Wait. I have to. Meaning I have to move it manually. Or you missed this slide just now, right?
Yeah. Now it's moving. Okay.
Because now, but it is not in slideshow.
We can see that. Would you please show the slideshow, because it is not in the slideshow.
Okay, I tried to do it manually. It looked like this not mine is already in slideshow, but you didn't see it. I have to do it manually. Can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, I'm in this slide now. So what happened, I would like to share this data is about the digital population of Malaysia, and the data was actually published in 2018. It means that this data was like before COVID attack. So with the existence of COVID in our country, I'm sure this data is a lot higher than this reported figure. Okay, for example, all of us aware that there are 30 million population, about 30 million population in Malaysia right now. So it was reported at that time 20.9 million, okay, of us having smartphone. If I were to exclude out of 30 million population, of course we have to exclude the young, the babies, like those who are 9 or 7 years and below, or maybe 10 years and below, if I again were to exclude those who are 80 years and above. So I would say that all of us who are eligible or in the capacity of having smartphone, all of us, or 100% of the Malaysian population within the range of say 10 and above and below, 80 and below, are having smartphone. This is like amazing to me. Okay, again, look at the second column. Total number of Facebook users in Malaysia, 22 million. Remember I told you we have 30 million, and out of 30 million, 22 million having Facebook. This is again surprising. And again, total number of Twitter users in Malaysia, 7.2 million. Wow, this is huge. And look at the next one. The average amount of time Malaysians spend on YouTube, 80 minutes. So I really hope that this 80 minutes, you know that 80 minutes is about 1.5 hours, right? 1.5 hours is per day, every day. Each of us spend 1.5 hours on YouTube. So I hope we as academic utilize our time properly. If you spend on YouTube, make sure what we spend is on something benefit or something that will enhance our knowledge, not so much of entertainment. Having 1.5 hours spent on entertainment per day, what more if the entertainment is not giving any added value to our academic life? This is actually a waste of time. Then next one, 80% Malaysian internet penetration rate is 80%. So again, Malaysian online banking penetration 85%, and then surprisingly, the Malaysian broadband penetration rate is 118%, meaning one house having more than one broadband. And again, the best industry in this case is actually telecommunication industry. They collect a lot of money from us. Okay, so a bit slow because I have to move it manually. Then I have to make it slideshow. Okay, next one, of course, the area that I'm going to share with you all today is, of course, related to accounting and digital era or digital age. When you assign me, when the organizer actually assigned me with this topic, I was like struggling, trying to find, is there any articles in a good journal that discuss these two issues concurrently, accounting and information technology. So actually Allah helped me a lot. Instead of getting or analyzing it one by one, there is an article, okay, written by Mardini, okay, in his article recently, 2020, they already summarized for me to share with you all. Okay, so I just cut and paste and put it in the slide, and I quote, this is actually belong to Mardini and Al-Kurdi 2020. So again, this is good thing if you want to start, if any of you, I'm sure some of you are academic lecturer looking for topic for your internal research grant, or you're planning to apply fundamental research grant, or you're planning to do your PhD in these areas. So refer to this summary of area in accounting and artificial intelligence. In this way, I use the keyword artificial intelligence is part of digital age. Okay, so actually there's the authors summarize, and they review, they realize that there are 19 papers related to artificial intelligence and financial accounting. So if you are into financial accounting and you plan to do on artificial intelligence or anything to do with the information technology, so you look at the first column. And if you look at this area, this title of or the research area is not actually very new. Some of the articles have the authors start exploring these areas in 2005. Okay, since 2005. But of late, you realize there's more and more articles in this area.
Prof, I'm sorry
Yes?
again, but you need to move the slide.
Oh dear, now it's not moving again.
Yeah.
Oh
We
dear.
are looking at the revolving role of accountants in digital era now. Not slide number 5, not number 6.
Meaning they are not moving it.
Yeah, it's not moving.
Okay. I'm very sorry for that. I have to do it manually. Can you see now?
Want us to help you on this?
Yeah, can you? But at the same time, I'm trying to. I start sharing. You share, then I.
Okay, Prof. You if you just continue for a while, and then we will.
Okay.
We will try to help you. Okay. In the meantime, you can just continue.
Okay. Can you all see the summary of review of research article?
Systematic review of research in AI and accounting.
Yeah, this is what I mentioned just now. There are 19 articles actually related to artificial intelligence and financial accounting. Okay. And of course, the next one, the authors summarize, and when they review, they notice that there are 19 articles related to artificial intelligence and auditing. Again, if you are into this, those lecturers or researchers planning to do on auditing and also artificial intelligence, then kindly refer to the second column. Okay. Next one is artificial intelligence and cost and management accounting. Okay, those management accounting lecturer, you can refer to this. And if you look at this, actually, those researchers, they have started embarking into looking into artificial intelligence and management accounting since 1993. This is a good thing. So it's a bit something that we are proud of, meaning they know this thing will happen. That's why they start looking into this. And next one is artificial intelligence and tax accounting. I truly believe Prof. Aziz into tax. So perhaps, okay, now if you want to further explore into artificial intelligence and taxation, there's some actually, there are 3 authors actually looking into this. The last but not least, papers related to artificial intelligence and public accounting. How many papers here? 1, 2, there are 3 authors looking into this. Okay, meaning I have to do it manually and check whether you can see. No, not now. Can you see my new slide? Accounting and IT.
Yes, we can.
Okay, accounting and IT as industrial technology is invading every industry in the globe, and it is making a significant impact on the accounting world. It saves time, saves money, and provide accurate data to the regulators and customers. Of course, everyone say good thing about accounting, and this is actually the area of research you may want to explore. So Greenman 2017 argued that the accountant delivery tasks and the accounting profession might replace their human capacity. So now those accounting discipline, the accounting lecturer, the accounting student, they are actually started to get worried because they thought their role is going to be replaced by the digital technology or artificial intelligence. Can I check again whether you have research opportunities in front of you?
Yeah, I have it. We can see it.
Okay. Okay. So now I start exploring, okay, the simple possible research area on accounting and digital age. And as we mentioned just now, the digital technology is coming, is already actually it's become a big issue in a way to our society. Why don't we as accounting lecturer look at the role that impact of this digital technology, the role that impact of artificial intelligence into accounting work? Does our work change as compared to before the existence of digital technology, before the existence of artificial intelligence? Recently, we invited a bendahari from the public university, Treasury Department of Public University, and I noticed that when they start using the artificial intelligence, is so amazing. They maybe 10 staff can be terminated if they really use the technology and how to prepare the account. Okay, so this is the kind of research you may want to explore, the role and the impact of this digital technology to accountant, to auditor, to tech officer, or to any part of any profession in accounting discipline. Next, what are the direction of future research about digital technology and accounting? This is what I summarized in my earlier slide based on summarized by earlier researcher. They already summarized. If you want to do your research, if your research direction is on IT and taxation and IT, so what are the possible area you may want to explore? If your area is on management accounting, then how to incorporate digital technology into it. If your area is auditing, how are you going to integrate the information technology into your research? Okay, so these are actually a good possible area for you to embark for your small grant or for your research, your yearly research, or maybe you want to do for your PhD. And last, what about the extent of uses of digital technology such as big data, artificial intelligence with the existence of COVID-19? Okay, I hope again I have to bother you and checking whether you have here research opportunity 2013 by WeCheck. Okay, this WeCheck investigate the impact of artificial intelligence in the manufacturing process parameter. They want to see how good is the artificial intelligence in actually evaluating and classifying the cost data. All this why we do it using Excel. Now, if we use artificial intelligence, what happened to the quality of work? Okay, that the things that you may want to do, especially those into management accounting and area. Okay. Then the other possible area you may want, this one actually I just collect from literature, okay, by Chow 2010. What happened? The prediction of production cost accuracy. Now they use artificial intelligence. How good is artificial intelligence in predicting, in doing the prediction of the cost? All this while we use. Yeah, because when we do some research, we do it manually using Excel. Now they suggest us to use artificial intelligence. I forgot I have to use it manually. Okay, next one is another research possibility, research opportunity. Klosowski, Gola 2016. So they examine the risk of cost estimation through artificial intelligence for manufacturing job order. I think this is slightly the same like one of the author just now, but that one is more recent. This is a bit old, 2016. And also there's a study on the effect of artificial intelligence on knowledge management. This is something different. They look at knowledge management and artificial intelligence. And also Lopez Otego 2006, this is also interesting. Those into from management accounting area, they look into life cycle costing. Life cycle costing, but the use of artificial intelligence. Okay. Can you see now? I have some photo of a poster actually.
Yeah. Would you like us to control the slide?
Yeah, can.
Okay, we have your slide ready now.
Okay, I stop.
Okay, you can stop, so we will pick it up from there.
Okay.
Okay, but then please give us a hint if you want to change to the
Yeah,
next slide.
no worries. Okay, for
Okay.
time being, I think I can go on by explaining to you all. I'm sure some of you are not into like doing small scale research. Instead, you are planning to do something like applying research grant from industry, for example, right? So of course you have to match the title with what the industry want. But I noticed lately industry, not only industry, government agencies also offer a lot of research grant. And if you notice, most of them look into or they will request something on COVID-19 and also technology. Okay, so this is a good chance for you, but of course you have to match. If the industry or is on agriculture, make sure if you apply the grant, you have to include the element of agriculture, no matter whether it is the sample is of agriculture or also the framework is with regards to something related to agriculture. Miss Moderator, you sharing the slide?
Yeah.
Coming? Okay,
Is it
another
okay?
thing, of course, whatever research you want to do, especially you want to embark into PhD, for example, right? So it's not easy because if you are from accounting background, you want your PhD to be PhD in accounting. If you are from and of course, if your PhD is in accounting, make sure the element or the variable you have in your thesis is related to accounting. So in that case, how are you going to incorporate or integrate element of information technology or digital age into your thesis? It's not that easy, right? So maybe I'll give you some clue on how to incorporate digital technology in your thesis. And at the end of the day, the course or the program or the PhD that you are doing is actually PhD in accounting. May I know whether you have shared the slide or I didn't see?
Yes. It's on
You have
research
shared.
opportunities, individual level. That's the slide that we are looking at now.
Everyone, can the rest of the audience see that slide? Or I because I didn't see.
Yeah. In the YouTube, we can see the slide.
Oh
You
yeah.
cannot see the slide, Prof?
No.
Oh, you cannot see the slide.
Oh. Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah. It's okay. And I'll do it manually.
Okay.
I do it manually. Macam tadi. I do not know. Maybe I. Okay.
Okay. Can you see the slide now?
Oh wait. Yeah. Now I can see.
Okay. So we just control the slide from here. So you can just keep on talking.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. No worries. Okay, next, this is what I want to say. It's not easy actually for you all if you want to embark into postgraduate program, for example, or of course you have your first degree, and of course now next step, if you don't have your master yet, you want to do master. Those who have master, your next one is you want to do PhD, right? So as I mentioned, if you're from accounting background, and I'm sure some of you or most of you here are from accounting background, right? So you want your master in accountancy or master in accounting. And also your PhD, you want it to be in accounting, but at the same time, you want to have your information technology or artificial intelligence in your thesis. It's not easy actually. So I may suggest you a few things. Can we move on to the next slide? Okay, this I give you some example of how my student actually, this is written or produced by my student. I beggar it a bit because of course I don't want to be like 100% the same. It's only for my sample to explain to you all. In this case, this is, I would say that maybe I have to explain a bit. Basically, there are 3 levels of studies. Individual level, where your respondents are individual, students, lecturer, who else? Student, lecturer, officer, tech officer, auditors, those are individual level study, right? So if you are doing individual level studies, you may still incorporate digital age into your framework of your thesis. So for example, this my student Yul is Yul is actually from Universitas Indonesia, one of the best, the best in fact, the best university in Indonesia. He did his PhD, okay, on auditing. So what happened actually, he incorporate one element of his variable as IT competency, the one I shaded red, okay. The one I shaded red is actually how we examine or he incorporate element of information technology in his framework so that his framework is more comprehensive and also of reflection of what is needed. And his area is actually on auditing. He wants to see what are actually the factors contribute to ability of auditors to detect fraud. So for auditors to detect fraud is not easy, right? So there are many factors, but this the good thing is actually he in our team are able actually at the time to predict the important role of IT competency among the auditors. To us, if the auditors are not good or less competent in handling IT, so there is most likely they are not able to produce effective or quality of job, quality of audit work. I mean, okay, this is actually how actually we can incorporate element of information technology in our accounting field. So, but the rest of the variables like locus of control, self-efficacy, these are actually common type of variable examined or by the researchers in the area of audit. So it is very logical because maybe I just share my girl just graduated from ACCA recently and being employed as auditor in one of the big four in Malaysia. So what happened, I cannot imagine how she is going to audit a company without going to the company because of COVID, right? So I really feel that if the senior auditor who is actually left this school university level or not able to manage computer well or not very competent in handling many software, there is less likely they are able to do their job well. So in this study, the students, okay, Yul is actually trying to examine the level of IT competency in the auditors and the tasks given. And he got two tasks, difficult tasks and easy tasks. If they have good IT competency, of course, they will hypothesize those auditors, internal auditors who are able to manage or handle a lot of software, accounting software, they are able to detect fraud better than their counterpart, especially in the context of easy tasks as compared to difficult tasks. Can we move next slide, please? So these are among the item, okay? Because you may ask me, so how to measure IT competency? It's not easy, right? So these are among items that we ask the auditors. If they have this skill, they are given themselves as 10. If they don't know this software at all, then give themselves 0. So those are the items. I may not want to read item by item, but among the software that we ask is software for data mining, software for data analytic, TAAT, computer assisted audit technique, those kind of software. So we assume that if the auditors is not able to handle this software, they are not able to detect the fraud in the client companies. Okay, next one. Okay, just now I mentioned those studies are actually individual, meaning the client, the respondents are individual auditors, individual lecturers, individual student. They are actually individual level. Now we move on to organizational level. Some studies looking into organizational performance, for example. So in these students, okay, she is now is another student also from Universitas Indonesia. She want to see on resilient. You know, resilient when the company is able to cope with disruptive changes. We wonder, some company during COVID collapse. Many company actually going bankrupt because of COVID. But some companies, their profit double, threefold in fact. So why? So actually there is a good theory on resilience. So we take the dynamic capability theory, but we include one element, technology capability. We notice that company that survive or double up their profit during COVID are those with IT technology. They are able to cope better with this pandemic. So this student, I'm glad, actually this is, we discussed and agreed on this framework much before we aware that COVID will be coming, but somehow we predict that this thing is going to be important, and now it proved that technology capability is important. And the student is testing whether company with technology capability, one of the item, of course there are other variables, then will be able to actually cope with resilience better than other company who have no or lack of IT capability. Okay, next one, move on. Okay, just now I introduced individual level study where we look at auditors' IT skill, IT competency. Next one, just now I show you how organizational level study. You can also include information technology into the framework together with other accounting variable. The next one is actually on IT capability, but this one is at country level. But when you are doing country level, and actually I'm amazed that I was like not aware of this. Only recently, 3-4 years back, only recently I aware that there is actually world data available for you all to access for free, okay, on everything about the country. For example, this student, I again amend a bit to make it a bit different. This student currently is finishing, inshallah, actually. Myself and Pranama supervise him, Darussalam. He is looking into the quality of governance of a country. And if you look at the country data, actually there is a quality of governance. They give us the quality of governance index, which comprise of 12 dimensions. So from there, actually, you know that this country are having good quality of governance, the other country has less. So we are wondering what actually contribute to this. So some studies looking to the amount or the investment the country put for local and for investment. And I want to highlight only the IT capability, the one I shaded red. So this data, actually, they want to look whether if the country have actually strong IT capability, they are able to have, or they will actually promote good quality of governance. So he is testing on that, and out of this, I think he produced quite a good paper with renowned speaker, renowned researcher from Netherlands, which is one of our supervisory team. Okay, so can I conclude at this point that despite we are from accounting background and we want our qualification or our research, of course, we don't want to run away from our area accounting, we can still incorporate IT or digital age variable so that it is a combination of accounting and IT at the same time. Can we move on? Okay, the rest are actually, I just extract from paper or journal, the title that we may actually explore. Okay, when we look at others, they have been doing this, maybe because we don't have so much time. I'm sure you are lecturer, you are teaching like 15 hours a week, you have to mark, you have to mark, you have to set exam question, you have to attend meeting, you have to organize conference like this, so a lot of time actually. you need to spend on other than research. So what happened? Why don't you just replicate others? If your if your research is very much related to internet, why just replicate others? So this is example of what you title you may actually you may want to start on with related to accounting and technology. So the first research is accountancy and technology, the changing role of accountant. This is very simple, right? I'm sure you all can do the changing role of accountant. And you know that without saying, you know that all our job has now changed. We used to go to class, explain it on the whiteboard. Now everything changed. Okay, so now what is the changing role of accountant with the existence of technology, especially in the pandemic area? This is good research area. Next one is the effect of blockchain technology and on the accounting and assurance of profession in accounting. Now they do it in UAE. Why don't we take the paper, read the paper line by line, word by word, try to replicate it in Malaysia? And of course, if you can write to the authors and ask their permission to collaborate with us, you can even do comparative study with them. Okay, can I move on? So these are other possible research area you may want to do. This is actually managing change with and through blockchain in accounting organization. So what happened? This author, they don't want to go down, collect data, interview people, distribute questionnaire. So it's like, wow, this is very hard work, right? So what happened? You just sit in front of the computer, go to your database, then analyze. They analyze, because look at the title, the systematic literature review. He want to study up to now, 2021, how many papers actually, or how many research have been done in accounting and technology or digital age or artificial intelligence for that matter. So how many and what are the direction of the research? And from that you critically write your own paper based on that. So no need to go down and collect data empirically. So next one is information technology and Gen Z, the role of teachers, the internet and technology in the education of young people. Okay, this is just published. Yeah? So again, I think the best is for us to replicate others, since we don't have so much time to explore into something that is very heavy. And of course, my advice is, if you are from branch, you have all the faculties in the same branch, kan? So you can work with the information lecturers from information technology. That even better. So you have a better idea on the choice of topic that can actually incorporate both accounting and also the digital age. Can we move on very fast after this? These are the rest are like all the topic that I pick up from journal and is recently published. Most of the article was like published in 2020 or 2021. Relevance of big data to forensic accounting practice and deduction and education. So big data. So everyone is talking about big data, how the big data is used to mitigate fraud and also to combat crime. Okay, and then move on. So the rest are all as example of topic. So again, researchers to conduct future research. Oh, this is a suggestion. Okay, the impact of artificial intelligence or the impact of information technology on learning management. Okay, the impact of artificial intelligence on financial reporting standard environment. Now people are using actually integrated reporting, right? Those kind of things. Integrated reporting definitely need to use the technology for them to be implemented. So internal control system and artificial intelligence, internal auditing process and artificial intelligence. A lot of area of research you can embark on in the area of artificial intelligence and accounting. And next one. Okay, again, more research opportunity. This research opportunity is actually first is performing audit procedures remotely. Imagine I told you just now, at my age, I'm not that young. I am not that old. I'm not that old. I actually cannot imagine how are we performing audit, but not doing the audit physically. So there should be a good study on this. Okay. So as I mentioned, my girl, my daughter just completed ACCA last year. At the age of 20, she's doing audit, and yet she is not actually going to the audit firms at all. The first day he went to the company, registered as auditor, take all the notebook and all the card, the staff card, everything, and she came back and start doing auditing for at least a few company already without visiting the company at all. So can you imagine? And now this is a good actually area of research for you to embark. So because of technology, you know what happened? A lot of crime, a lot of fraud happened, right? Why don't we look into ethic and trust in digital technology? Transparency and accountability with this technology, cybercrime is so rampant. Why don't we study on that, right? So put the element of cybercrime. Maybe you want to include cybercrime and also our internal control system or internet security system, information technology security system, and cybercrime. These are actually accounting area. So the role of open data for fraud mitigation. Why do I say this? Because this is one of the topic of my student currently with one of my research area together with Prof. Maren Jensen from Netherlands. He is actually one of the top 100 researchers in the area of open data, fraud mitigation, public sector. So this is also very good area, but it's a bit away from accounting. It's very difficult for you to relate open data, fraud mitigation, public sector if you do not have element of accounting. But of course, that is not my my PhD or my students' PhD. So this is a external research grant. It does not need for us to focus too much on accounting. So with that, I think I just finished on time because I'm supposed to stop at 4:30. So my advice, just maybe introduce you all. I am from Accounting Research Institute. We offer PhD and master in financial criminology. So when the PhD and master is in financial criminology, it does not need for you all to have element of accounting so much. So it's good for you to do, it is good enough for you to propose an element of digital technology, artificial intelligence, and also how this can help the transparency, the accountability, the governance of a company or of a country. So those are possible areas you may embark into if you want to enroll yourself as postgraduate student at RE. I think with that, I pass the session to the organizer, and very sorry for the inconvenient cause.
Thank you so much, Prof. So your talk is very enlightening actually. So I'm sure that the audience who are here with us today can get many helpful insights in embarking into technology research plus with the accounting area. So I'm sure that we have somehow, the talk has somehow broadened our insights. So now we have much more insights on what we are supposed to embark after this. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big clap to Professor Jamaliah. Okay, so before, I think that it is not too late for me to welcome our rector from UiTM Cawangan Terengganu, who is here with us today. So a big welcome to Professor Dr. Mazida Putih. Thank you so much for being with us today. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, looks like we have come to the end of the presentation session, and I'm sure that your mind is filled with so many questions right now. Okay, and because of that, let's not wait anymore. We are going to have the question and answer session now. So again, you may type your question in the chat box. Please mention your name before you address the question. Okay, Prof. Aziz, before I proceed, I have a question for you, a special one actually. How do you stay young and handsome like you were 30 years before?
There is no special ingredient or special answer to that. Thank you very much. I suppose you just need to um, to well to live it life and take things easy, no
You
matter
look the
what
same.
challenges.
You look the same like 30 years before.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the compliment. I'm not that young. Just imagine I started my academic career in UiTM Terengganu back in 1992. This is um, almost 30 years. So you can figure out more or less my age now.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Sorry for the
You just
question.
need to be happy. You just need to
Yeah,
be happy. You just need to keep on doing what you love and be positive. Yes, be
yeah, be
positive.
positive, right? Okay, so our speakers have shared with us a very important topic now, I believe, which is very highly relevant with our time. That is during the COVID-19, which makes everything turns into digital. And COVID-19 has also forced our government to need income from taxation. Okay, but then because of tax avoidance, which is legal, but then it does not really benefit the government, but it benefit the people on the other hand, and also the digital age. Okay, so I'm not gonna waste any more time, so we are going to go to the first question. The first question come from Dr. Nick Muhammad Fazila from Uniza, Malaysia. So the question is for Prof. Aziz. It says that, dear Prof, is there any specific threshold to estimate the three different level of corporate tax planning, corporate tax avoidance, and also corporate tax evasion among corporate taxpayers? Okay, Prof.
Thank you for the question. Now, from this paper, we do not distinguish between tax planning and tax evasion. The data for tax evasion is is private. You will not get the data publicly, and this is post event. Usually, uh, corporate tax evasion data is available after the event. The proxy that we use for measuring tax avoidance is looking at the amount of taxable income divided by operating income for current year. There are other measures as well. So these are spectrum. On one hand, you have tax planning, okay, and tax planning consists of both legal and possibly fulfilling all these tax loopholes. And then on one extreme, we have tax evasion, which is not only is unethical, but it is also illegal. Now, for tax planning, there are several proxies that we can use or several measures that we can use uh, to gauge the degree of tax planning and tax avoidance, but for tax evasion, as I mentioned, this is post-event. Thank you.
Okay, so I hope the question, the answer is clear to Dr. Nick. Okay, Dr. Nick, if you are still not clear, then maybe you can pose another question after this. Okay, so we move to the second question, also for Prof. AJ. Okay, Prof, can we also relate tax avoidance activities with code or common law countries? Okay, so example, French is more towards code law countries. Is it possible?
Yeah, of course, that is one of the consideration that we include in the current paper within the 12 countries that we selected in these papers. Some of the countries are within the common law, like here in the UK and the US, Ireland, and there are also countries, especially in continental European countries, they are adopting code law. Now, the results are pretty much similar to the institutional practice that we include in our paper, which is the CME, or coordinated market economies, and the liberal market economies. And we feel that the distinction between CME and LME is much more interesting as compared to common versus code. Hence, that was in the initial analysis, but we dropped because of the scope of the papers. We thought comparing coordinated market economies versus liberal market economies would also provide us more interesting stories on this degree of tax avoidance.
Okay, thank you again, Prof. J. So, I'm going to read the questions based on the sequence that appear on the live chat. Okay, so the next question is addressed to Prof. Jamaliah. Okay, Prof, from where can we get the country level data that is on the quality of governance like the one that your student have? The question come from Arrow Wizard. Okay, Prof.
Okay. Auro Wizard. Okay, Auro Wizard.
Yeah.
Can you just Google it? Maybe Auro, you are interested to do study country level study. I would like you to join my group. There is a group of students actually, at least 4 or 5 of them is doing on this, and actually this the group is headed by our fellow, and he is now in Russia. Ural University of Russia, one of the big public university in Russia. So if I give you my contact number. It's good for you to do it and try to learn the data together with the group, because the group is very active, and we are actually we want this group to head research center related to country level studies, especially regard to corruption, control of corruption, quality of governance, and transparency, accountability. The way you ask is like you are interested, and of course I'm looking for this kind of people because we want to enlarge our group. So, but actually if you can just Google, the data is available. For example, if you're looking of OIC countries, you do not know what are the OIC countries for sure, right? So you just click there, OIC country, and the system will actually tell you how many OIC countries currently and the data you want. But of course, the data, some of the data is like not available, especially for countries which are newly formed or very less developed countries. So some of the data is not available until 2000, for example. But some countries, especially developed countries, they have data maybe start from 1970. Because one of my students doing quality of governance, the data was covering from the period 1990 to 2017. So yeah, you can just Google it and it's there. Country, you just key in the Google data on quality of governance, say OIC countries. They will tell you and they will head into that. But to be more specific, please contact me so I connect you to my team so that I can actually enhance or enlarge the size of my research.
Okay, so that's a very good response from Jamaliah. So maybe our wizard, you can just do that. Okay, and then Prof, when you say that the data is available, does it mean that anybody in the public can access to it, or do we need some special permission or subscription before that?
Yeah, most of the data are free, except if you want certain data, it is not available. But don't worry, the team, they have access to the data because if one person buy, the rest can still use it.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Okay, so we go to the next question. Again, it comes from Dr. Nick Muhammad Fazila. Okay, the second question is also to Prof. AJ. So the question is there any relevant model or specific measurement to detect corporate tax fraud?
Thank you. In terms of detecting corporate tax fraud, I have not come across any specific model, but you can use estimation for financial reporting quality. That is another area of interest, research interest that I'm engaged in, measuring financial reporting quality. And oftentimes when we discover that firm having poor financial reporting quality, the probability for this company to engage in illegal activities such as tax fraud is higher. The other model that you can apply in connection to detecting corporate tax fraud is using the Ottoman Z-score. For example, we look at the probability of firms defaulting is debt obligation. So these are proxies or measures that we can use in conjunction to detecting corporate tax fraud. One area is from financial reporting quality, the DCHF model, for example, or the corporate tax, corporate rating or probability. That is another area that you can use. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. All right, so we will move to the next question. Okay, seems like we have more questions coming in now. From Azuraidah Taib, Prof. Jen, is there any relationship between digitalization and ethics of accounting profession? Prof. Jamaliah?
The relationship between digitalization, ethic of accounting,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I shared my study a bit because it's quite difficult to say yes or no. It depends on the study. Actually, I conducted, this is less related to digital. But now you're asking on digital and ethic of accounting profession. Yeah, it's very difficult to say or to answer the question straight away. But to me, between ethic and digitalization, what I want to highlight is when digitalization come in so much into our life nowadays, our ethic tend to be very it's very challenging to our ethic. Okay, for example, last time we don't have Facebook, we don't have social media, we don't have WhatsApp group. Now what happened with this, the existence of this kind of technology? So our country being attacked in a way badly, everyone can say anything in the Facebook. without checking the fact or the fact of the message, for example. Okay, nobody cares to check the moment the news is so uh, it's like it's a gossiping kind of thing, and it's interesting to their opinion. They just share it, and of course, this is not good for our country, especially we are coming from different races, or we have different religion, different races. So it is not good. So in a way, if you are talking about digitalization and ethic, it is actually things that we should appreciate, because technology is meant to help us to move forward, to be more successful, to be at par with others. But the moment we wrongly use the technology, so the technology will kill us. So what happened to our country nowadays? We notice that the monarchy, the royalty being attacked, the leaders being attacked, the mufti being attacked for because of the technology. Okay, so it's like there is no respect to the mufti, there is no respect to the leaders, there is no respect to our young Dipitul Agung. Everyone want to say to say anything of what they feel is what they feel or what they want to say. So again, if you want to relate between digitalization or technology into ethic, there is no connection whatsoever. The digitalization is meant for us to achieve or to move forward, to be more successful. But the moment we wrongly use the technology, we don't take care of our ethic in communication, in spreading the news, then the technology will backfire us. So that's what I can say, but I have yet to actually conduct a study on digitalization and ethic of accounting profession as per se. But of course, if the accountant can use the digital technology in a good way, this will definitely improve their quality of work, also the accuracy, the speed of the work, definitely.
Okay, Prof. Thank you. So everything it goes back to us, to our adab. I believe that the values as a
Yes,
person, as a Muslim. Okay, so
yeah, adapt.
and
I like
then
the word adapt.
you have a very interesting talk actually, Prof. That Dr. Nick Fazila says that perhaps we can initiate small group collaborations for further discussion related to AI and financial fraud. Okay, so Dr. Nick, if you can listen to me now, then please do contact Prof. Jamaliah at ARI UiTM Shah after this. Okay, okay, so we have another question, this time for Prof. AJ. Okay, is there any possibility that those big multinational corporations are not avoiding tax payment, but their CSR contributions are tax deductible? Okay, Prof. AJ? From Dr. Wanur
Thank
Hazlina
you for the
in
question.
UiTM Terengganu.
Thank you for the question. I'm not discounting the fact that these multinational companies engage in CSR activities. What we argue in this paper is the fact that the CSR contribution does not match tax payment. The amount of CSR engagement is peanut. If you look at this big company, they engage in charitable activities. Yes, these are tax deductible, and also the CSR engagement activities are negligible as compared to the amount that they spend in tax planning scheme. They engage in big four auditors as their tax advisors to find loopholes so that the amount of tax burden is minimized. So if we were to compare these two activities, on one hand, CSR engagement, on the other hand, is tax avoidance. Okay, CSR engagement is peanuts, is negligible compared to billions of amount spent or tax being avoided through tax planning.
However, Prof, we can say that when you pay your tax, the people cannot see it. But then, if you do some CSR activities, then your reputation will go up. Your customers, the people who are mostly your customers, will look at it as something good, and that will actually improve your reputation. So, to the companies, CSR is better than paying tax. Is that also?
That's correct. That is also correct because the CSR activities can be used as PR activities or window dressing. You do not need to spend a lot of money to engage in the CSR activities, and it enhances the company reputation. On the other hand, these tax payments, what we need to do is to make sure that companies that are good corporate citizen should be publicly appreciated.
Okay, Prof. So another question for you. Some tax avoidance actions are legal, okay? And with the purpose to minimize tax liability, in your opinion, what will be the effect to the firm value? The question from Madam Noor Emelina from UiTM Terengganu.
Yeah, these tax avoidance activities, on one hand, they may be legal, but they may not be ethical. So, in terms of maximizing firm value, we need to go back to basic corporate finance principle. You engage in positive net present value project that will enhance your firm value. And these may include in tax avoidance activities because that would increase the firm profit. On the other hand, we argue that if firms are not paying fair amount of tax, yes, it is legal, but it is not ethical. To the primary stakeholders, to shareholders, it will benefit them in terms of dividend payment, but for the general public, to the societies, when firms avoid tax payment, this will have an adverse impact on the community, the infrastructure development, all these building and social activities depends on largely tax payment or tax revenue.
Thank you so much, Prof. So I believe that we still have about 5 more minutes, so that might be the last question for Prof Aziz. So I'm going to ask Prof Jamaliah another question. So the question comes from Muhammad Noor Marjan from UiTM Arau. So the question says, to what extent Malaysia is ready for digital accounting? Is it a warning sign for our future accounting graduates one day? So, okay, and he has a research interest in ICT investment and financial accounting. So I believe that this question is very much related to our students also. Okay, so let's listen to Prof Jamaliah.
Okay. Number one is to what extent digitalization is going to happen in Malaysia. Maybe I recall back many years back when I read a book by Kaplan, relevant laws of accounting at that time. So I thought, oh, this is like fake. It wouldn't happen, right? So at that time they argue that the role of accountant is going to be like diminished because of technology. Now that one, I think the book was written maybe 1990, I cannot recall. But now after 30 years, after 30 years, it almost proved that what he said is correct. So I would think that all of us must be ready. What more with the COVID pandemic, we know that 100% classes are all not online. All I mentioned, all work we have to do it online to remote areas. So no choice, we have to join the train. Otherwise, we are going to left behind by the technology. So I'm very happy that you plan to do your study or to proceed to continue your study in this area. This area is indeed the very timely, because of course when you do your PhD or master your PhD, you want to do something that is going to be relevant in the future. So choosing this area is indeed the best area, because we know that technology is important. It's going to be more important in the future. When you know what, when the framework of my student I showed you just now, they actually started their PhD in 2017 before the pandemic attack. Then when they are going to submit, then pandemic is here. Indeed, the topic is extremely relevant, because IT, digitalization, and COVID is actually, they are in package. So having IT is most of the, we can say that it will solve part of the problem, because of pandemic actually force us into this digitalization. So I'll give you my contact address or my phone number with the organizer, so that you can actually attend our promotion program of doing master or PhD at our place. So this topic is indeed very much suitable for the current situation, and inshallah is going to be relevant in the future.
Prof, maybe I can ask you something, because we also have students listening to us today. So what is your advice to our students now? Because in just now when in your talk you mentioned that because of AI, 10 staff can be terminated at one particular organization because of the use of AI, accounting staff. So as our students are now the accounting students, well, what do you think that should they do to equip themselves so that they can still survive in the digital era?
Yeah, number one, of course, the knowledge. The knowledge in digital technology, it should be there. And I'm sure now the first question the employer want is your ability to handle all kind of software. Okay, so when I mentioned about my daughter, I know the syllabus of ACCA, for example. Now they incorporate the technical kind of thing. In fact, you have to answer it using computer nowadays, right? So that knowledge, I am very sure the syllabus of our accounting education already incorporate that. That is number one. But of course, please do not, our young graduate, please do not wait for actually I would say it's a job that offered by the government or industry. Can we create job instead of actually you apply the job, you create the job? Because nowadays we have a lot of opportunities. You realize or not, a lot of youngsters nowadays embark into becoming a YouTuber. And YouTuber is, I thought, is very definitely you need to share something useful. And actually I follow one case where she's a maid, actually a maid to a Taiwanese family. She is actually a maid where in the YouTube she shared about the life in Taiwan as a maid. And her income, I was informed, because I really follow, I want to see what is so good about being a YouTuber, how much income they get, how difficult it is to produce 20 minutes video. Actually, her income as a maid is about, if I can convert into Malaysian ringgit, is about 3,000 to 4,000 ringgit. But her income from being a YouTuber is about 35,000 ringgit. But unfortunately, this maid is actually not from Malaysia, it's from Indonesia. You know that Indonesia, they have almost 300,000 population. To be specific, is 270,000 population. If say 1% of Indonesian actually follow the become a follower of the YouTuber is already huge amount of follower, because YouTube, they pay by number of follower, right, by number of viewer. So that is the benefit of those from Indonesia. But what I want to say is, even Malaysian follow the Facebook, because we want to know how life is like in as a maid. So she shared every day what time she wake up, what she need to do, how the behavior of the employer. Fortunately, she got support from the YouTuber. So what I want to say is, because of being a YouTuber, she employs someone to edit the video. So she create a job. That's what I want to say. So what you should equip yourself is, try to do something of not actually relying on applying job in private or government sector, but try to think or create a job for your colleague. For example, I'm not sure if I can advise you, like small business. In fact, if you look at the package nowadays, a lot of industry, a lot of agency, they offer to young entrepreneurs to start a business. But of course, you have to have a business. Okay, then they will help you. But if you just start a new working paper, trying to think of what kind of business is a bit difficult. But you have to prove you already have a business, even though it is small. But you have to have a team, and the business proposal is of promisable, I would say, and it's not very difficult to get, and the amount, of course, not much, about 5 to 10K, but it's good enough for you all to start. If you can consider that, it would be good, even though you are in accounting line, but doing business is for any discipline. Tak mestinya business students doing business, accounting student cannot do business. Tak mesti from film and theatre can do, become YouTuber. Anybody in the world can be YouTuber. Is example, even a maid can be a YouTuber and make a lot of money as compared to us.
Okay, so you are saying that even though you are an accounting student, but we cannot rely on accounting as our career. So we have to diverse our skills, we have to diverse our knowledge, and always get ready to embark in anything that can make a living for us. Is that it?
In a way.
Okay. So, thank you so much, Prof. Jamaliah, Prof. Aziz. There is one last question. So, I have a request to give away to another question. Okay, it's from Dr. Noor Zamina. So it says that, hi CSR engagement. This question is meant for Prof. Aziz. High CSR engagement could indicate high tax avoidance. What do you think about the True and Fair View report for CSR as produced by the financial report? Can it avoid the company from doing such tax avoidance?
Thank you, Dr. Noor Zamina. The CSR report, part of the annual report published by firms, are not governed by the True and Fair View. The True and Fair View covers the financial statement as well as the notes to the account and chairman report. If it is voluntary and this is not audited by external auditors, then a company can use CSR report or sustainability report as window dressing mechanism. So there should be a guidance or regulations on how this sustainability or CSR report should be published. Yes, the overriding principle, the True and Fair View, ensure there is no materiality omission or from this information, but it does not guarantee that the report will be 100% transparent or 100% perfect. So I guess to avoid tax avoidance is we have to educate. It's difficult because these multinational companies or MNC, they have all the expertise to engage in tax, in doing all these tax loopholes. So we have to give them a lot of some indications or expose any wrongdoings in the public so that they know that this is not only illegal but is also unethical. Thank you.
Yeah, Prof, I can see that as a very difficult issue to face by the government because nobody like to pay tax. Even though everybody understands that tax is very important for the development of the country, but in fact, nobody wants to pay. So that's a very contradictory issue there. You like it, but you don't like
So
it.
the enforcement is very important. I would reckon, if we increase the enforcement on tax payment as well as the role of whistleblower, all these different mechanisms that would enhance, the tax compliance.
Yeah. So I believe that in Malaysia we have the IRB is one of the most efficient agency, Malaysian agency so far. What about in UK? Same thing there?
Yeah, the same. We have inland authorities, tax authorities here, but with multinational companies, domestic regulatory body would not be able to to enforce tax regulation. For example, if they generate a lot of revenues in Malaysia, those revenue can be easily transferred to their sister company or affiliate in other countries, and they are not paying tax in Malaysia or in the country they operate. And this is what we want to avoid. These multinational companies are making huge amount of revenue, huge amount of profit in developing countries, in emerging markets, yet they are not contributing to the society.
Yes, that's the issue, and I think that we are going to have a long time before the issue can be solved. Okay, so it looks like we have come to the end of our international webinar. Okay, so finally, I would like to thank our two prominent speakers again, Prof. Jamaliah and also from Prof. Aziz, for your informative and very interesting talk, and also not forgetting to our wonderful audience, thank you so much for being with us, for being very participative audience, and I certainly hope that you have benefited a lot from today's session. So again, please ensure that you have filled up your attendance by clicking at the given link in the live chat. Okay, after that you are going to get your e-certificate almost immediately. So hopefully we are going to see each other again sometimes in the future. So as for now, thank you so much for your attention. A very good evening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much.
Aziz, ramai salam Yui.